Eyewitness News is everywhere.
From east of the Altamont Pass, a tire fire spreads a thick black blanket of smoke for miles. From Antioch, chilling 911 tapes are released, revealing the final moments of a fatal hostage standoff. And from the South Bay in San Jose, for the second night in a row, a car strikes a child riding a bike. And the big story tonight, millions of old tires on fire, creating a massive cloud of smoke in the skies east of the Bay Area. The tires are burning out of control in Tracy, where Sean Comey is live on the scene. Sean.
Mac, I'm standing at the base of a column of smoke that extends 7,000 feet above the ground.
All right, thank you, Sean. Our other big story, twin terrorist bombings at U.S. embassies in Africa. 8 Americans, including a child, are among the 81 dead. Tonight, the search continues for survivors buried beneath the rubble. Coming up later in this newscast, we'll take a look at the drastic effect the bombings are expected to have on the country's economies. Tonight, Special Prosecutor Kenneth Starr faces possible contempt charges for alleged leaks about his grand jury proceedings.
I'm Jeffrey Schaub, reporting live from the North Bay.
Still ahead, a garbage strike stretches into its 9th day. But negotiators for both sides are talking, and there may be hope of bringing this stink to an end. Plus, a church makes the ultimate sacrifice. We'll show you how it will save several cliffside homes.
Yeah, whole congregation, feels sad, but it is okay.
And 911 tapes recreate the terrifying hours of a hostage standoff that ended tragically.
How old is the baby? He's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill all of the dogs.
You're watching Dave McElhatton, Dana King, Weather Everywhere with Brian Sussman, and Sports with Drew Soisher. Eyewitness News is everywhere.
Today, police released the 911 and negotiation tapes of a deadly Bay Area hostage standoff.
In the East Bay, Cynthia Gao, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
For the second night in a row, a bicycle accident involving small children. From the South Bay, both occurred in San Jose. Sharon Chin has the latest from the East Bay in Walnut Creek. How about it, Sharon?
Well, negotiations have been going on here since 11 o'clock this morning. They are still going on right now behind me. Certainly that's good news for consumers who want this strike to end.
Well, that's a good place to be for tonight's 5 reports, because we're going to visit a unique Bay Area company that has been helping people sleep for nearly a century.
Weather Everywhere is brought to you by Paramount's Great America. There's no better time to visit the Bay Area's largest theme park, Paramount's Great America.
Well, here he is, Mr. Weather Everywhere. What a perfect day. Just a nice day, warm temperatures. It was lovely.
I'll tell you, if you just kind of took a little snapshot of this weather, this is where we should be for this time of year. I mean, this is really early August weather for the Bay Area. A little patchy fog at the coast, 60s at the coast, 80s inland.
And take a stand against the government and win. Plus, as we look toward the future, a new effort is underway to save precious pieces of our past. Those stories, all the news on this Sunday night, August 9th, 1998.
And now, the award-winning 10 o'clock news on Channel 2. The #1 primetime newscast in the country.
Good evening, I'm Julie Hayner. It's been almost 3 days since terrorists bombed 2 American embassies in Africa, and tonight the death toll continues to climb. In Nairobi, Kenya, the remains of a 12th American victim were identified today. Rescue teams there and in neighboring Tanzania are working frantically to free survivors still trapped in the rubble left by the twin bombings. We have several reports tonight, beginning with John Sasaki in our newsroom. John.
Julie, rescuers managed to pull several survivors from the rubble today and then set off the bomb. Julie, back to you.
All right, John Sasaki in the newsroom. John, thank you. The 12 Americans killed in Nairobi on Friday were all at the embassy at the same time, but each of them had a different reason for being there. Several of the victims were diplomats attached to the State Department. Several others were soldiers.
In Washington, Randy Shandeville for the 10 o'clock news.
Now to recap, here's what we know about the embassy bombings so far.
And the union official says just the fact that talks are going on is a good sign. In Pacheco, Vern Hawkins for the 10 o'clock news.
Police in Reno, Nevada arrested more than 100 people overnight after a riot erupted during the annual Hot August Night celebration.
All night long, police have just been trying to keep up with the trouble areas, whether it be at the south end of town at the Peppermill or the north end here in downtown Reno. But their biggest challenge comes down to a matter of numbers. In Reno, Brian Hickey, Channel 2 News.
And still ahead on the 10 o'clock news, a tire fire burns out of control in the Central Valley. Tonight there's word these tires may have been stored here illegally. 3 years ago, floods devastated a part of the Central Coast. Now a jury has decided who has to pay for the damage. A bit later in tonight's newscast, why coffee growers and drinkers should see the supply equal demand this year. And the largest local phone company in the nation is hit with a strike. 10 o'clock news continues in less than 2 minutes. Hundreds of residents of Monterey and Santa Cruz counties are celebrating a legal victory this weekend. On Friday, a jury returned a verdict that holds a group of government agencies liable for a devastating flood that ravaged homes and farms. Amber Lee reports.
In Pajaro, Amber Lee for the 10 o'clock news.
Millions of discarded tires continue to burn out of control tonight near Tracy in San Joaquin County. Now there's word the operator of that tire dump may face legal trouble. Cornell Bernard of Sacramento station KXTV joins us from Tracy with a live update. Cornell.
Julie, as you can see behind me, this fire continues to burn and burn. In fact, there's really little change from last night when we were here, but we do know now that the owners of this dump were operating without a state license, and officials say that's something which could have prevented this fire from spreading out of control. Reporting live in Tracy, I'm Cornell Bernard. Back to you, Julie.
And the pictures are spectacular at night. Cornell, thank you. Still ahead tonight on the 10 o'clock news, politicians and survivors observe the anniversary of the bombing that brought about the end of World War II. In San Francisco, a run for fun in Golden Gate Park today helps support a serious cause. And a bit later tonight, unless something is done soon, the Bay Area could lose a number of significant landmarks.
Another site ready to be restored is in the heart of the Delta. Locke is the only remaining rural Chinese-American immigrant community in the nation. It was built in 1915 by Chinese-American sharecroppers. At one time, 1,500 occupants filled these streets. Today, only about 75 people live here, and of those, only 11 are Chinese-Americans. Connie King has been a resident since 1949.
I hope I live long enough to see this town restored.
You don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. In San Francisco, Sharon Song for the 10 o'clock news.
And still ahead tonight on the 10 o'clock news, Harry Stockman will tell us what kind of weather we can expect in the week ahead. With the weekend winding down, Harry's here now to look at the work week forecast.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. And today was really a spectacular day. Plenty of sunshine, comfortable weather. This is the sunset looking over the estuary, and not bad. Pretty sight. We have beautiful sunsets here, don't we?
2 men from Southern California are now confirmed dead. They are Kenyan U.S. Consul General Julian Bartley and his son, Jay. They are among 12 Americans who lost their lives in the blast.
A survivor of the embassy bombings came home to the United States today.
Oh my God.
And for more information, you can call the Red Cross. The number is 1-800-HELP-NOW.
Now on to other news tonight. Some people are saying they're never going to go back to Reno's Hot August Night celebration. Not after last night's riot. 135 people were arrested. Police blame the violence on a mixture of alcohol and gangs. They say as many as 2,000 gang members from around the West created a hostile situation.
In Pittsburgh, a Motel 6 had to be evacuated today while police tried to talk a gunman into surrendering, and they did it. They were successful. 28-year-old Leonard Covarrubias turned himself in without firing any shots.
Coming up on Nightbeat tonight, a man who thought his father had died 40 years ago is about to meet him for the first time.
A rough ride on a jet to Miami tonight. Some passengers get hurt.
And thousands flock to honor a comatose 14-year-old girl.
You're watching News Center 4 Nightbeat with Catherine Heenan, Tom Sinkovitz, meteorologist Lisa Argin, and Vernon Glenn on sports. News Center 4, 24-hour news, every day, every hour. You're watching Tom Sinkovitz and Catherine Heenan on News Center 4 Nightbeat.
A Santa Rosa man who once thought the internet was a nuisance is now singing its praises. He found his father while searching the World Wide Web, a father he thought was dead for the past 40 years. As Wallace Alvear reports, he is now heading to France to meet him.
Yeah, and Patrick Carré says he is now spending a lot of time in French chat rooms in order to brush up on his French. He's also doing some virtual tours of the places that he grew up in, Catherine, back in France.
Well, that's a nice story, Wallace. What about the mother? Is she still alive?
Yes, she is still alive and here in the United States, and obviously this is a very touchy subject, of course. He says, you know, he doesn't hold any grudges against his mother, but he'd like to find out a lot more about his story.
Sure, well, it's interesting. Thanks very much. That's Wallace Alvear.
A federal judge says his San Francisco courtroom is not going to be a forum for a political fight over the merits of logging. A damage suit comes to trial beginning tomorrow. 9 anti-logging protesters. Well, straight ahead on Nightbeat tonight, we are going to have the Bay Area forecast for the week ahead.
And the world's oldest active merchant ship, it sets sail for a voyage into the history books. And it was raining in San Diego today, a weather fact I picked up. Overcast. Today, here, Lisa's off, so I'll do the weather. It was beautiful. Sunday living up to its name around here. A lot of sun. The highs ranging from the coastal 60s to near 90 inland. The satellite image shows a weak disturbance offshore. A high pressure meaning more sunshine, warmer temperatures as the week goes on.
Because your day starts early. So do we. Daybreak begins working on your day before Nightbeat calls it a night. Give us a few minutes in the morning, and we'll prepare you for the day ahead with the latest news, weather, traffic, and stocks. Get out the door with more. Start your day with News Center 4, Daybreak, weekdays at 5.
Barry Bonds hit 2 home runs tonight, but the Giants still couldn't match up with the superior Atlanta Braves team that sent San Francisco to their 4th straight loss. The before-mentioned Bonds watching before Dusty Baker is manager in the 3rd. While Sports Final is now just ahead, featuring a former local shortstop. Now here's Gary with a preview.
Straight ahead tonight on Sports Final, if we can catch up with him before the bus leaves. Walt Weiss, the all-star shortstop for the Braves. Walt will join us, talk about tonight's game at Candlestick, and also what's ahead down the road for the powerful Atlanta Braves. Former A shortstop, turned all-star in Atlanta, Walt Weiss. Also, Doug Harvey, 31 years, a National League umpire, is here to talk about his crusade to get baseball players to stop chewing tobacco. Doug himself has contracted cancer from the use of tobacco for 50 years. Doug Harvey on tonight's program, as well as the new owner of the San Jose Clash, Alan Rothenberg, paid $25 million on a hunch soccer will go in San Jose. See you in a few minutes.
The most popular, whether you love him or hate him.
Yeah, people don't like change, do they? And he's changing things.
He certainly is, and people don't like dominating winners like that, and he's dominating.
What a feeling that must be for Mr. Labonte going across that infield, trying to stop his car. The thing just won't stop. And
Not much control for Labonte, but he's had a pretty good season.
All right. Dennis, thank you very much.
Dennis. Okay. Well, finally tonight, something kind of sweet to end the newscast. In Taiwan this weekend, for some reason, they unveiled a one-of-a-kind wedding gown. It is made entirely of sugar candy, and they're saying it is the world's first edible wedding gown. And although you can't really tell, they say the veil, the jewelry, the flower, everything here is made from sugar candy. It took 250 hours to make. It weighs 44 pounds, and it costs about $3,000.
That's amazing.
But can
Must
you
be the
sit
labor.
down?
You know, the good thing about that is you don't have to do those darn money dances anymore with
That's very true. But the photographers were not invited to stay for dinner. That's our report tonight. We hope you have a great week, everyone. Thank you for being with us.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
This has been a production of KRON, Channel 4, the news and information leader in Northern California.
The unions are scheduled to meet 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to decide if the strike will expand. In the East Bay, Roz Plater, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
In Los Angeles tonight, firefighters finally have a handle on a huge wildfire.
The blaze broke out just before 1 this afternoon, north of Highway 60 near Riverside. The congregation of a condemned church celebrated their last Sunday Mass today on the peninsula in Daly City. From the North Bay in Santa Rosa, Pat Carré will travel to France to visit the father he hasn't seen in 43 years. The death toll climbs as searchers continue to comb through the rubble of the embassy bombings in Africa. Plus, a young girl is struck by a bolt of lightning and lives to talk about it. And a little later on, the Stones are playing, and it's in a place they've never been before.
What's been happening in the East Bay? The day after the shooting, thousands of people stayed away.
All lanes of westbound Highway 24 have reopened.
Lafayette BART is a place of convenience.
Channel 5 brings you coverage of the East Bay and everywhere in the Bay Area every day.
The Raiders' response to the proposal made public today is this.
Headed out towards Alameda County.
Because covering the news that hits close to home is our commitment to you.
Channel 5 Eyewitness News, everywhere. Eyewitness News is everywhere. Now, news where you live.
From the East Bay and Castro Valley, good news for commuters. Lawrence Carno has had to leave us a little early tonight, but he did leave us a weather forecast, so let's go now and find out what's coming up for tomorrow.
Really nice day around the Bay Area, Barbara. Most areas cleared out and saw some pretty warm temperatures. 88 today in Concord, 87 in Livermore. Back along the coast, cooler. But even they saw some sunshine, 67 degrees in San Francisco and 62 in Pacifica.